Part 28. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 271. Chapter 271 What a Monster, Additional Update. Because, this is not good. Xia Ying bit her lip silently, feeling a little embarrassed for no reason. All right. Yu Lingfeng lowered his eyes, covering his deep eyes. Xia Ying has always felt that Yu Lingfeng's pupils were like black holes that could not be penetrated at a glance. Moreover, after just one glance, she could not help herself, and her whole eyes were immediately attracted to him. Yu Lingfeng is really a monster. Hey, I'm talking to you, why are you distracted? Chu Sensio stretched out his fair and slender hand and waved it in front of Xia Ying, and then pulled Xia Ying out of her thoughts. Big turtle dove, you are taking too much care. Xia Ying knocked Chu Sensio's hand off, curled her lips, and said, when he came, you wanted to skin him. Now that he's not here, do you miss him? After hearing this, Chu Sensio had a dark face. Who missed him? Aren't I just trying to grasp the enemy's situation so I can protect you? Xia Ying spread her hands helplessly. I'm not a child anymore. Why do you always want to protect me? What's more, you beat me every day when I need your protection. Now that I've grown up and can take care of myself, you just come protect me. Are you kidding me? Xia Ying, this is true. If he really wanted to protect her, why didn't he come out in his last life? At that time, such a big change happened in Xia Ying's family. However, Luo Xian kept it secret and did not tell her family. Xia Ying didn't even know how she survived at that time. She is a lonely woman, and her daughter is away from home all year round without being able to see her. Luo Xian had probably never experienced the despair of having to quarrel with her husband when she returned home. Later on, Luo Xian and Xia Chuanhai divorced, and it took a long time for her family to find out. Only then did they realize that their precious daughter had suffered so much. But before they came to find Xia Chuanhai to reason, something happened to Luo Xian. A few days later, Xia Ying also died in a car accident because she could not accept Luo Xian's death. Xia Chuanhai married Xiao Yanhong, photos circulated on the internet and a series of other critical attacks. Chu Sensio was choked up when he heard what Xia Ying said. He hesitated for a long time before he said, then, that's because I was ignorant when I was a child. Xia Ying did not answer the call anymore, but walked aside to watch TV and ignored him. In fact, if it weren't for the scandal between Xia Ying and Jun Chenai some time ago, even the media in country S would be reporting on it. After all, Jun Chenai is a superstar and there are many fans of his in country S. Chu Sensio slowly read some news about his former slug cousin from some news media reports. Inexplicably, he wanted to visit her. How to describe that feeling? Chu Sensio never knew that he had the attribute of sister control. Until he saw Xia Ying in a news report, this attribute immediately emerged like a volcano erupting. The first time Chu Sensio saw Xia Ying, hey, this girl is so cute and beautiful. At second glance, hey, his name is Xia Ying, such a familiar name. Third eye, what? Is it that Xia Ying? The fourth eye, oh my god, how can my cousin Sakura be so cute? Fifth eye, holy shit, what are these fans named Jun Chenai talking about? Is my cousin Sakura not good enough for him? Is it funny? Chu Sensio was so angry that he immediately turned into a fan of Xia Ying, started to apply for a bunch of alt accounts, and united a group of people to raise flags and support Xia Ying on major website forums in S country. They all wear vests such as Xia Ying is the most beautiful, Xia Ying is the cutest, Xia Ying is the super beautiful girl in the universe and so on, which can be easily identified as a navy at a glance. Chu Sensio has been fighting on the S country network for more than half a month, and successfully made Xia Ying famous in the S country. Xia Ying. Thanks to the little cutie light heartbeat for the reward. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 272. Chapter 272 Turning the Elbow to an Alien Planet. During the semi-finals, Chu Sensio and Luo Xian were still accompanying Xia Ying. Chu Shenming Research Institute was busy every day, so they couldn't come. However, as Chu Shenming himself said, it didn't matter whether he came or not. Anyway, he firmly believed that Xia Ying would definitely enter the finals. When Chu Sensio bumped into Yu Lingfeng and 11 Ju at the door, he subconsciously protected Xia Ying behind him, raised his eyebrows, and stared at Yu Lingfeng in front of him warily. "Why are you here again?" Yu Lingfeng ignored him. Chu Sensio snorted coldly and actually ignored me. "Yu Lingfeng, have you brought the things I asked you to bring me?" Xia Ying pushed Chu Sensio away and ran towards Yu Lingfeng. "Chu Sensio." "Yeah." Yu Lingfeng nodded, then took out a lollipop from his pocket and handed it to Xia Ying. Yu Lingfeng stared at the lollipop, frowned and said, "I don't know if it's the one you were talking about." "That's right." Xia Ying was delighted. "I like to eat this brand of lollipops the most. This brand of lollipops is a chain store and is rarely available in China. However, it is very popular in Austria. You just have to go to a specialty store to buy it." Xia Ying forgot when she came, but then she suddenly remembered and asked Yu Lingfeng to bring it to her. Xia Ying quickly peeled off the candy wrapper and stuffed the lollipop into her mouth with a happy face. "If you like it, I'll help you take care of it from now on." Yu Lingfeng couldn't help but said when he saw Xia Ying looking so happy that she was about to float to the sky. Just as Xia Ying was about to say okay, Chu Sensio behind her ran over with a dark face to forcefully refresh her presence, and said, "What's your intention? Do you want to make my cousin Xia Ying fat?" Yu Lingfeng ignored her and just looked at Xia Ying silently. Xia Ying rolled her eyes at Chu Sensio and said, "Big turtle dove, you are nosy." Chu Sensio felt aggrieved. "I'm not thinking about you. Yu Lingfeng, please leave him alone. You will help me take care of him every time in the future." Xia Ying winked at Yu Lingfeng and said with a smile. "Anyway, Yu Lingfeng has the ability to transform space. For him, a trip abroad is no different from a trip to his own back garden. Little ant, why don't you come and take care of it?" Chu Sensio shouted to Luo Xian behind him. "Cousin Xia Ying's elbow is almost on an alien planet." Jacolin. "How did you know?" Luo Xian was amused by Chu Sensio. "Don't talk nonsense, Lingfeng is not an outsider." Chu Sensio spread his hands helplessly. "Okay, then he is an outsider." After entering the venue, Chu Sensio went to the bathroom. On his way back to the venue, Chu Sensio saw a petite loli-type girl. The girl was leaning against the wall, playing with her mobile phone with her head lowered, and an unusually sweet smile on her face. The girl's golden curly hair was tied into a high ponytail, hanging down behind her. Her honey brown dress made her look as noble as a little princess. Chu Sensio's eyes lit up as he remembered something. This seemed to be that, Tang what, Tanguoer. Yes, that's the girl. Chu Sensio passed by Tanguoer. The girl raised her head inadvertently and met Chu Sensio's gaze. Then the next second, the girl's eyes lit up, and the corners of her mouth gradually raised, staring at Chu Sensio. Lips opened slightly, and said involuntarily, "Hey." Chu Sensio frowned, paused, and asked in confusion, "Do you know me?" It's a new week, please vote for recommendations. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 273. Chapter 273, There's Nothing You Can Do About Being Handsome. As soon as Chu Sensio finished speaking, the girl's starry eyes dimmed immediately. It turned out that in less than a month, he had already forgotten her. Well, even though it was just a chance encounter, maybe to him she was just a passerby in his life. But for Tanguoer, the moment she saw him, her whole world lit up. How should I put it, I just couldn't help but want to know him very much. Tanguoer looked at Chu Sensio's hair and thought to herself, if you look good, you can control any hair color. When I met him before, she had honey brown hair, but now it has been dyed into flamboyant silver hair. Just like the handsome boy from the comics, he is handsome and unruly. That, we met during the preliminary round. Tanguoer whispered, trying to wake up even a faint impression of Chu Sensio. Oh, I know. Chu Sensio then said, I remember you, you play the piano well. Ha, do you really remember me? Tanguoer's pupils lit up instantly. It turned out that he really remembered it. Even though it was just a chance encounter and she accidentally bumped into him, he really remembered it. Tanguoer felt inexplicably excited. Well, remember. Chu Sensio answered casually. Tanguoer grinned, showing a sweet smile. Chu Sensio curled his lips and then said, then, come on. Well, thanks. Tanguoer nodded vigorously and stared at Chu Sensio, looking very happy. Chu Sensio frowned slightly, not quite understanding her inexplicable excitement. Chu Sensio turned around and walked towards the venue. Tanguoer followed him, staring at his back. Chu Sensio shrugged helplessly. Sure enough, he was too handsome, but there was nothing he could do about it. The little loli couldn't resist his charm, she became obsessed with him when she saw him. Xia Ying was backstage, preparing with many contestants. She appeared relatively late in the order of appearance. Because of this, Xia Ying saw many people's wonderful performances backstage and couldn't help but have little confidence in herself. There were many people backstage who were celebrities in the music industry that Xia Ying had seen in magazines. They came from various countries, and everyone was a leader. Most of them have grown up participating in various music competitions, and are already very familiar with the atmosphere of the competition, but even so, today's competition is different from usual. The winner can become Mo Dexi's close disciple. Everyone among them is working hard and just wants to get first place. Under such psychological hints, everyone is more or less nervous. Xia Ying saw several girls going to the bathroom and looking at the music scores. Their hands were trembling. Xia Ying sat quietly aside. Although she was calm on the surface, Xia Ying was no more relaxed than them on the inside. Xia Ying lowered her head, trying to clear her mind and prevent it from thinking too much. However, not long after Xia Ying closed her eyes, she suddenly felt someone sitting down next to her, and then she felt a cold touch on the back of her hand. Xia Ying opened her eyes and looked sideways. Yu Lingfeng was sitting next to her and held her little hand. Don't worry. Yu Lingfeng's face didn't show much emotion, but such a plain words made Xia Ying feel at ease for a moment. Xia Ying nodded. What? Xiao posted a pinned post in the book review area and participated in the Community Star program. All the little cuties went to like it and give it a thumbs up. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 274. Chapter 274, Killing by Both Men and Women. Cousin Sakura. At this time, someone appeared very unexpectedly, and he still had a unique ending. You didn't see the person, but heard his voice first. When Chu Sensio came in, his face was still smiling, as bright as a sunflower. However, when his eyes fell on Xia Ying's hand held by Yu Lingfeng, Chu Sensio's face immediately changed like the weather in June. The bright sunshine just now disappeared and was replaced by heavily clouded. Chu Sensio took 3 steps at a time and walked towards Xia Ying and Yu Lingfeng. He looked at Yu Lingfeng condescendingly and said angrily, "My cousin Xia Ying is preparing to go on stage. Why are you disturbing her backstage?" You came to harass her just after I left. You really have ulterior motives. After Chu Sensio finished speaking, he yanked off Xia Ying's hand that Yu Lingfeng was holding. Yu Lingfeng's face darkened, but he still didn't pay much attention to Chu Sensio's words. Chu Sensio thought that Yu Lingfeng was wrong, so he felt even more proud. Sitting down between Yu Lingfeng and Xia Ying, the two of them were separated forcefully. Xia Ying's face was covered with black lines. Seeing the looks from the people around her, Xia Ying swallowed subconsciously. The girls saw Xia Ying being surrounded by two stunningly beautiful young men, and each of them began to envy Xia Ying. I was originally nervous because of the competition, but now I was excited because I saw the handsome guy. How can he be so handsome? And they are two super handsome guys. It's so eye-catching, isn't it? The boys stared at Xia Ying for a long time. Girls who originally studied music were more temperamental, and Xia Ying was one of those rare people who had both temperament and appearance. No matter which angle he looked at, he looked like very pleasing to the eye. Cough cough cough. Chu Sensio covered his mouth with his fist and coughed a few times, then stared back at the boys who were staring at Xia Ying one by one. The boys quietly retracted their gazes and returned their gazes to the music scores in their hands. I said, "Aren't you allowed to enter the backstage?" Xia Ying looked at Chu Sensio and Yu Lingfeng and asked, "How did these two people get in?" Upon hearing this, Chu Sensio grinned widely, "Ha, that's not because of my beauty trap." Xia Ying frowned, "I remember the gatekeeper is a man." Chu Sensio continued, "Don't you know that your brother and I kill both men and women?" Xia Ying was stunned for a moment. "My brother, you actually used your beauty trick on a man. Isn't it a high price to come and see her?" Xia Ying's mind automatically filled up a certain eye-catching scene. Then he turned to look at Yu Lingfeng. Yu Lingfeng immediately shook his head, meaning that I am not that unscrupulous, and I am a person with superpowers. By the way, why are you still here? Chu Sensio glanced at Yu Lingfeng up and down, looking cold and ascetic. Why did he always take advantage of his cousin Xiaoying while he was away? Yu Lingfeng usually ignores him. Chu Sensio's face darkened. Is this person so arrogant? Do you think he is air? Even if it's air, you have to take a few breaths, right? All right. Xiaoying was helpless. You all go out, I'll be fine, I will adjust my mentality, you don't have to worry about me. Did you hear that? My cousin Xiaoying asked you to go out. Xiaoying didn't know what was going on with Chu Sensio's inexplicable tone of voice. Thanks to the little cutie's brother is a sister control and old dreams are like smoke for the reward. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 275. Chapter 275. It's been a long time since I had a sense of presence. And you, turtle dove, you all go out together, you're about to blow my brains out. Xia Ying complained. When Chu Sensio heard this, he curled his lips and said with a grieved face, "Then, okay." Chu Sensio stood up and took Yu Lingfeng away with him. Just as Chu Sensio and Yu Lingfeng walked to the door, they bumped into another person. The man put his hands in his pockets, raised his head slightly, and looked arrogantly at everything around him. The boy has handsome features and soft lines. No matter which angle he looks at, he is the kind of handsome boy who can make girls scream. Why are you here too? Chu Sensio frowned, half confused and half unhappy. Jun Chenai straightened the broken hair on his forehead, pretended to be nonchalant, and said, "Can't I, young master, come here for vacation?" "Who cares where you go on vacation? Why are you harassing my cousin Xiaoying?" Chu Sensio snorted and said angrily. "What kind of harassment?" Jun Chenai frowned. "I am her fiancé. I came here to see what happened to my fiancé." After Chu Sensio heard this, the softest corner of his heart was stung by Jun Chenai's words. Holy shit, fiancé. Just him. His cousin Sakura is such a perfect and invincible genius girl in the universe. She is loved by everyone and blooms with flowers. How can this arrogant and hot-tempered young master in front of him be worthy of his cousin Sakura? Let him say that there is no human being on this earth who can be worthy of his cousin Sakura. His cousin Sakura is a little fairy. If you keep talking nonsense, believe it or not, I will beat you. Chu Sensei raised his fists, not as if he was joking. Add me one. Yu Lingfeng added silently from the side. Jun Chenai. Since when did the two of them end up in the same camp? Damn it, is Yu Lingfeng such a fool? Has this already broken into the enemy? Can even this kind of neurosis be conquered by him? Chu Sensei glanced sideways at Yu Lingfeng and said angrily, "You are not good people." Jun Chenai's anxious heart was relieved. He thought that Yu Lingfeng had already curried favor with Xia Ying's cousin, but now it seemed that he and Yu Lingfeng were evenly matched. He hasn't lost yet. It's just that the distance is relatively long. Get out of here, don't hinder my cousin Xia Ying from preparing for the competition. Chu Sensei kept driving them away. Jun Chenai clung to the wall and refused to leave. I don't want to. I had a hard time getting in. I want to go in and take a look at her. Chu Sensei raised his eyebrows, changed his expression, and stared at Jun Chenai with his glasses half closed. You came here as a beauty trick too. Jun Chenai was helpless, otherwise. They don't even know me, Jun Chenai. They are really ignorant. Fortunately, he still has a face that looks like a universal pass. Yu Lingfeng. What's going on with this inexplicable style of exchanging experiences? Fortunately I didn't bring 11 Ju here. Otherwise he can come up with another XXX plot. That's just right, you can go out again. Jun Chenai thought that Chu Sensei would let him in out of sympathy for his fellow sufferers, but who would have thought that he would still be so ruthless and unjust? Hey, why? Jun Chenai jumped furiously. Yu Lingfeng has already gone in, why can't I go in? Unfair, he hasn't had a presence with Xia Ying for a long time. Chu Sensei paused, what he said seemed to make sense. Then I will be fair and just and use some special means to decide. Chu Sensei cleared his throat and said seriously. Jun Chenai's face was immediately filled with anticipation. Whoever wins the rock-paper-scissors game can go in and see my cousin Sakura again, but only for 1 minute. Xia Ying? Great turtle dove, are you planning to sell me? Chu Sensei, he, I just think it's fun, how could I possibly sell it to you? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 276. Chapter 276 Just Kissed Her. Yu Lingfeng. Jun Chenai. Is this the special means you are talking about? Hey, what are you doing standing around here, don't you want to cherish this rare opportunity? Chu Sensei curled his lips and said. Okay, come as soon as you come. Jun Chenai took the risk. His winning rate in rock, paper, scissors is quite high anyway. How come he hasn't encountered an opponent since he was a child? He is completely confident that he can defeat Yu Lingfeng. 1 minute later. Holy shit, that's not fair, Yu Lingfeng, are you cheating? Jun Chenai said angrily, he actually lost 20 games in a row in 1 minute. Why can't this guy lose? Chu Sensei watched from the side without any enthusiasm. It was really boring. There was no suspense about winning or losing. Chu Sensei stretched deeply and said to Jun Chenai, young man, you should accept your fate. Losing 20 games in a row is not something everyone can do. You should stop struggling. Do you still want to lose again? A little ugly. Jun Chenai gave Chu Sensei a roll of his eyes. I want you to talk more. It seems that this is God's will, Chu Shenxiu said, then turned to Yu Lingfeng. Well, since you win, I will allow you to go in and see cousin Xiaoying for 1 more minute. Before Chu Shenxiu finished speaking, Yu Lingfeng had already turned around and left. Tisk, this person has no manners at all. Chu Shenxiu said angrily. Jun Chenai was so angry at the sight that if he read the almanac when he went out today, he would definitely have memorized it at home. Jun Chenai leaned to the side angrily, watching the countdown on his watch, waiting for Yu Lingfeng to come out. Since it was only 1 minute, he couldn't say anything, so he just endured it and let it go. 1 minute later, Yu Lingfeng came out on time. Chu Shenxiu asked casually, "What did you do in 1 minute?" "Nothing," Yu Lingfeng replied expressionlessly. Jun Chenai, I'll just say it. Chu Shenxiu, that's good. Just kissed her. Yu Lingfeng continued. Chu Shenxiu, why is he so mean-mouthed? Jun Chenai, why let him hear this? Yu Lingfeng glanced at the shocked expressions of the two of them, then turned and left. Chu Shenxiu and Jun Chenai were still stunned in place, digesting the explosive news. Yu Lingfeng walked with his back to them, the corners of his mouth raised slightly, revealing an imperceptible smile. Unexpectedly, human beings can be quite interesting sometimes. Xia Ying, who was in the background, was still stunned and at a loss. Her face was as red as a cherry, and her eyes were blinking in panic. Yu Lingfeng just walked towards her. Xia Ying raised her head and asked, "Why are you here again?" Yu Lingfeng didn't say anything, but leaned forward, held Xia Ying's chin, and kissed her passionately. Xia Ying was completely confused. Then the contestants backstage all ate an inexplicable meal of dog food. Girls inner OS, this dog food, wow, it's not sweet at all, it's sour. After kissing for 20 seconds, Yu Lingfeng left Xia Ying and said, "Come on." Then, before Xia Ying could say anything, Yu Lingfeng left in a hurry. Xia Ying was left alone, dumbfounded and messy. What happened? Jun Chenai and Chu Shenxiu came to the auditorium and sat down with dejected faces. Luo Xian saw Jun Chenai and asked, "Chenai, why are you here too?" When she saw the two of them, they looked like they were ghosts. After the expression, Luo Xian asked again, "What's wrong with you two? Hit a ghost?" Chu Shenxiu said in frustration. Jun Chenai silently nodded in agreement, and both of them looked at Yu Lingfeng. It's really a ghost. Is this Yu Lingfeng cheating? He actually beat him 20 times in a row. Yu Lingfeng turned his watch unmoved, while 11 Ju looked confused. Thanks to the little cuties Biffin, autumn and winter, time makes rain, I make tea for the rewards, and the cutie old dreams like smoke for the 1,888 book coins reward. There will be an extra update in the evening, meow meow meow. Xiao participated in the Community Star Project activity. Recently, everyone has been active in the comment area, posting posts and liking the posts. I love you. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 277. Chapter 277 The Little Prince of Music. The semi-finals are different from the preliminary rounds. A group of people are eliminated in one session. In the piano performance alone, half of the people have been eliminated. Xia Ying was taking deep breaths in the background. The upcoming competition was the instrument of her choice, and the instrument she prepared was the guhan. Xia Ying, guess who I saw when I went to the toilet just now? At this time, Mu Niankai suddenly ran towards Xia Ying, her face full of excitement. Xia Ying thought Mu Niankai was referring to Jun Chenai, so she was so excited, so she said disapprovingly, "You just knew that Jun Chenai was here." No, it's not Brother Chenai, huh? What did you say? Brother Chenai is here. Mu Niankai's attention was immediately diverted by the words Jun Chenai. Why didn't she notice that her brother Chennai was coming when she was playing the piano? Ouch, whimpering, she probably didn't do any weird little tricks just now to ruin her image. She should still maintain her beautiful image, right? Hey, why are you so dazed? If it's not June Chennai, then who did you see? Xia Ying asked. However, before Xia Ying could wait for Mu Niankai's answer, she saw someone walking in at the door. The young man stood tall and straight, raised his head slightly, and stared at the crowd, looking aloof and arrogant. Due to his European ancestry, the boy's skin is as white as snow, but his pores are not as enlarged as those of Europeans. The young man's skin is so fair and delicate that even girls can't help but sigh. The blue eyes like sea water are clear and moving, like a warm gemstone, very dazzling. The young man has a high nose, red lips, and white teeth. He has the bearing and appearance of a medieval European aristocratic prince. As soon as he came in, all the girls in the waiting area exploded. Ah, Stefan, Stefan. Oh my God, I actually saw the real Stefan. Stefan actually participated in this competition, my God, there is no hope, woo woo woo. The girls around her screamed one after another. When Xia Ying saw this, she just stared at the man blankly. Xia Ying is not a nymphomaniac, but Stefan has a really great reputation and is very famous in the music industry. And, more importantly, Stefan was the champion in his last life. Stefan is known as the greatest musical genius in the music world today. Even Tanguoer is slightly inferior to him. Tanguoer is only famous in China, but Stefan is very famous in the music industry throughout Europe and even the world. It is said that when he could not walk, he could already play shocking music on the piano. Stefan began performing on stage and participating in competitions at the age of 5. He was already world famous at the age of 7. He is the most dazzling music star in the music world today. He is also known as the Little Prince of Music because of his aristocratic atmosphere. He is very sensitive to music, has learned many instruments, and is proficient in many instruments. It is said that it only takes him 15 minutes to write a famous song. Of course, these are just legends about him. Xia Ying didn't know how much water was mixed in it. But one thing is clear, Stefan is almost unrivaled among the younger generation in today's music industry. The more important point is that even though he has become famous all over the world and has many music fans, he is still only 14 years old this year, just a child. Thanks to the little cutie Biffin for the reward. Xia Ying's biggest rival is Thick Line. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 278. Chapter 278 Bodhisattva bless her and she was eliminated, rewards will be added. Stephen was surrounded by 4 tall and strong black bodyguards. He sat expressionlessly in a quiet corner, and the 4 bodyguards surrounded him in front and behind him, so the girls could only watch from a distance. Stephen lowered his eyes, his face was naturally melancholy, and he was indifferent to the noise and confessions of the people around him. He seemed to be living in another world, without any interference from the outside world. Just very quietly, maintaining a well-behaved movement, sitting there quietly, not moving much. Wow, the legendary Little Prince of Music is indeed well-deserved. This kind of person is really a winner in life. He is handsome and talented. Moreover, he is born with an aura of nobility. When he walks in the crowd, he is different from ordinary people. Mu Niankai he couldn't help but click his tongue and praise. It is said that his ancestors seem to be some kind of nobles. From the looks of it, they are probably inseparable. I remember, there was no him in the first round of the musical instrument competition, right? Xia Ying recalled with a frown. Mu Niankai curled her lips and said, of course not. I flew directly to the finals. I guess I just came here to have a look today. Xia Ying turned to look at the quiet angel boy in the corner. Although he was only 14 years old, Europeans generally matured earlier than Asians, and he almost looked like a 16 or 7-year-old Asian boy. However, those clear eyes still revealed the childishness that was still intact. Xia Ying pursed her lips. Her opponent was so powerful, and her chances of winning seemed to be much lower. In the second round of self-selected instruments, Xia Ying played the traditional Chinese instrument guhen, which impressed the judges and teachers. In order to match the charm of the guhen, Xia Ying specially changed into a hanfu. Her clothes were fluttering and her every smile was so beautiful. Probably, in ancient times, this was the way it was used to describe beauties and other beautiful women whose beautiful faces and moonlight make the country and the city charming. The violins performed by Jiaolin and Mu Niankai also successfully entered the next round of competition. Tang Guo played the cello and was promoted without any suspense. The last link is the special proposition assigned by the organizing committee. Compose a piece of music within a week and then perform it on the piano. At this stage, the number of people on the field was reduced by half. Mu Niankai started to get nervous. She was almost eliminated just now, so this stage was even more difficult for her, and she didn't know if she could survive to the finals. At this time, Stefan had already sat in the first row of the auditorium. It seemed that he was quite interested in this session. After watching the performances of some of the people in front of him, Stefan's expression remained expressionless without any disturbance. It was clear that none of the tunes satisfied him. When it was time for Jiaolin to appear, she carefully held up her skirt and passed by Xia Ying. She glanced at Xia Ying guiltily and her heart beat faster. "I'm sorry Xia Ying, I really didn't mean it." Jiaolin muttered the sentence silently in her heart, lowered her eyes, and walked out of the waiting area. Mu Niankai rolled her eyes when she saw Jiaolin. She probably thought of Jiao Na, so she didn't have a good impression of the Jiao family. With the blessing of Bodhisattva, Jiao Na and her sister will be eliminated. Mu Niankai suddenly put her hands together and muttered silently. Xia Ying was stunned for a moment when she heard Mu Niankai's words, then turned to look at her. "What are you doing?" "I'm cursing Jiaolin and causing her to be eliminated," Mu Niankai said seriously. "Who made the Jiao family so arrogant? Thanks to the little cutie empty city old dream for the reward." End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 279. Chapter 279 Shameless to the Extreme. Xia Ying helplessly held her forehead and smiled. "Bodhisattva is very busy, so don't embarrass him." Namo Amitabha. Mu Niankai ignored Xia Ying's words and continued to recite piously. "Anyway, we can't let the Jiao family be in the limelight. It's best if there is some performance accident." Xia Ying covered Mu Niankai's nagging mouth and said, "Jiaolin didn't mess with you, so what you did is a bit too much." Mu Niankai curled her lips and said, "Humph, I don't care who asked her sister to mess with me. Anyway, anyone who goes against me, Mu Niankai, will not end well." Xia Ying was amused by Mu Niankai, but the next second, when the notes from outside were heard, Xia Ying's face suddenly darkened. Why is this prelude so familiar? Isn't this her song? Xia Ying continued to listen blankly. It was exactly the same. No, it was her song. The song Jiaolin played outside was her old time. What the is going on? When Mu Niankai heard Jiaolin's music, her face immediately drooped, and she said with a frown, "Oh my God, the Bodhisattva really didn't hear my prayer. This song is too good." Mu Niankai. If I said that the music Jiaolin played outside belonged to me, would you believe it? Xia Ying had a cold face, clasped her hands, looked at the direction of the music, and said in a deep voice. Mu Niankai was surprised for 2 seconds, then turned her head and looked at Xia Ying dumbfounded. "What? Did I hear that right? You said that piece of music is yours? Did you write it? Xia Ying silently handed her sheet music to Mu Niankai, who quickly took it. As expected, the piece of music in Xia Ying's hand was exactly the same as the one played by Jiao Lin outside, with every note correct. Mu Niankai immediately stood up and was about to leave in a hurry. Xia Ying stopped her. What do you want to do? Report it? Mu Niankai said angrily, this kind of person is extremely shameless. She actually stole other people's music to participate in the competition. I must report her. Xia Ying took a deep breath and pulled Mu Niankai, don't get excited yet. Mu Niankai looked at the calm Xia Ying and jumped up, oh my god. Your song has been plagiarized. You are still indifferent. What on earth do you want to do? Have you never thought that it will be your turn next time? What to do? Xia Ying replied with a cold face, of course I have thought about it, but now we have no evidence to prove that I wrote that piece of music. Since Jiao Lin is bold enough to play it in front of me, then we must have thought of a foolproof plan. Therefore, if we report it rashly, it will be detrimental to us. There is a competition going on, and if we accuse others of stealing music without sufficient evidence, we may be slapped down. If you do, you may be disqualified. Mu Niankai was angry and anxious after hearing Xia Ying's analysis. Then what do you think we should do? Of course I have a solution. Xia Ying said. Mu Niankai blinked in surprise and stared at Xia Ying. Xia Ying looked up at the clock. According to the order, she would appear in about half an hour. Xia Ying turned around and walked towards the bathroom. Mu Niankai stopped her, what are you going to do? Compose. Xia Ying replied calmly. Mu Niankai opened her mouth in shock, composing music? How can you compose a song in more than half an hour? Even if it is really made, can Xia Ying guarantee the quality of the song and guarantee that it can be promoted? Today's recommended votes are over 3,600 and there will be more updates. Little cuties, just move your fingers and vote. Dear little cuties. There will be a Community Star Project event in April. During this period, Xiao will interact with Ni Meng a lot in the book review area. If Ni Meng has anything to say, you can feel free to express it in the book review area. Xiao will take the time to reply. In addition, Xiao will also wait for your questions in the Master Talk. Little cutie, remember to like and reply a lot in the book review area. Your support is the biggest motivation for Xiao's writing, okay. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 280. Chapter 280 The Despicable Thief. Jiao Lin finished the song, and the expressions of the judges and teachers directly told her the result. Even Stefan, who had always lowered his head without any emotion, raised his head after hearing the song played by Jiao Lin and stared at Jiao Lin silently for a long time. I thought I wouldn't gain much today, but I didn't expect to hear a good piece of music. Chu Sensiu, on the other hand, was restless and had a dark face the whole time. After Jiao Lin finally finished playing the piece, he could no longer hold back the resentment in his heart. This woman actually stole his cousin Sakura's music, which is simply unforgivable. It is simply an insult to the word music, and it is not worthy of participating in this competition. Chu Sensiu stood up and prepared to go backstage to find Xia Ying. However, when Chu Sensiu came to the backstage, he did not see Xia Ying. Instead, he saw Jiao Lin with a proud face. Chu Sensiu walked towards Jiao Lin angrily, grabbed her wrist, stared at her with a livid face and gritted teeth. Chu Sensiu's sudden movement frightened Jiao Lin. She opened her eyes wide in horror and stared at Chu Sensiu. You, what are you doing? What am I doing? You despicable and shameless thief, this song belongs to Xia Ying. When Jiao Lin heard this, her lips trembled because of her guilty conscience and fear, but she still insisted, you are talking nonsense. You have no evidence, so you can't spit on others. Xiaolin has noticed the strange looks from other contestants. Foreigners can't understand it, but the Chinese players can hear it clearly. Stealing music. This behavior is simply inexcusable. Nonsense, Chu Shenxiu sneered, do you believe I can ruin your reputation? Xiaolin looked at Chu Shenxiu's cold pupils, and suddenly felt panicked in her heart. Hey, what are you doing? Let go of my sister. At this time, Xiao Na was about to come backstage to praise Xiaolin's performance. Unexpectedly, as soon as she came in, she saw Chu Shenxiu threatening Xiaolin. Xiao Na hurried over to stop her, pushed Chu Shenxiu away, glared at him angrily, and said, "You are a big man, bullying a girl, are you embarrassed? It's better than some people stealing music and not even admitting it, which is a bad moral thing." Chu Shenxiu said with a cold face. Jonah was stunned. Chu Shenxiu also knew that this was Xia Ying's song. After reacting for a second, Xiao Na immediately changed her face to an upright one and said seriously, "What nonsense are you talking about? This song is the hard work of my sister, why do you say it is stolen by Xia Ying? You didn't think twice before saying this. Where is the evidence? If there is no evidence, it is just false accusation. Hey, I really can't stand women like you anymore." Mu Niankai on the side couldn't stand listening anymore. She had already been caught in a pigtail, and she still didn't admit it. She was really thick-skinned than the Great Wall. Mu Niankai stood up, holding the music Xia Ying had just given her, and walked towards them menacingly. "This is Xia Ying's song, it's exactly the same as what your sister just played." Mu Niankai stared at Xiao Na with a cold face. "I thought you were the only one in the Xiao family, but I didn't expect that they all have the same face. It turns out they are a den of snakes and rats. What nonsense are you talking about, stinky girl?" Jonah angrily wanted to slap Mu Niankai, but Qianlin on the side quickly held Qiana back. Qiaolin kept biting her lip with a guilty conscience, lowering her head and keeping silent. Thanks to the little cutie ghost prostitute for the reward. End of this chapter.